Alright, next up we have operators. So say we have 3 doubles. And note that I have declared multiple variables here. I've declared 3, each called x, y, and z. You can separate them with a comma, and so they're all doubles. And we're gonna do some math. So we gotta have a variable to store the math in. So first up is your assignment operator, and that just assigns stuff into variables. So here we're storing the number 0.5 into the variable x. Now it always assigns whatever is on the right into whatever is on the left. It doesn't work the other way around. So you couldn't go, because in this case the computer's going to try and store y into 0.48, which is a constant, and that doesn't work. So you got to turn it around. And then we'll just have a negative in there. If I can type the negative sign. 10.39. Okay. Next up you have your arithmetic operators, which function exactly like you would expect them to. So let's say you want to subtract x from z. So result is equal to z, nope, minus x, if I can type. And then say you wanted to add y to what resulted from that. So you would just add results plus y. So here order does matter because you're subtracting, and here order does not matter because you're adding. There's also multiplication, and there's also division. Now, some of you may be looking at this line and say, hey, there's 2 results there. Isn't that kind of redundant? Good eye, there's a more efficient way to do that, and that is to simply say plus equals. And that will give you, that will add what's in y to what's in result. And this works with any of the other math operators, so you can make that a minus equals, or a times equals, or a divide by equals. There's an even more efficient way if you find yourself doing something like this: x is equal to x plus 1, or if you're using the trick I just showed you, x plus equals 1. There's an even better way to do that, and that's just a simple plus plus, and that's where actually C++ gets its name from, is this operator right here. And if you want to do subtraction by 1, it's just minus minus. But those are the only incremental operators that you have. So, and then after that you have your logical operators, which work with Boolean logic. So say you have a bool, and you want you want your bool to equal. You want your bool to be true if your result is equal to a half. See, I made a mistake here. This needs to be a double equals. Don't make the mistake I just did, because this will assign a half into result, and because of that, this expression right here will always return true. So you don't want that. You want that to be a double equals. And then there's not equal to, which is instead of one of the equal signs, you have an exclamation point. And you have your less than or equal to, greater than or equal to, and without the equal sign, you just have greater than and less than. And finally, so a few final notes. Comments are used for multiple things. Firstly, you can comment on a single line by using 2 slashes. And you can comment with multiple lines with a slash and a star, and as you can see, Eclipse automatically inserted a star and a slash. So multiple line comment. So why would you use comments? Well, to tell you what variables do. So this is stores the result. also say you had a really complex algorithm that's difficult to tell exactly what each piece does, but just by looking at the code. So you can say, for example, you can say separate the lazy cats from the kittens, and make sure it actually describes your code. I'm just using this because really there's not a whole lot of context here. And so you could say count the kittens. And then another use is, say you have some code that's kind of fishy, and it doesn't always work, or it never works, but you don't want to get rid of it. You want to work on it later, but you need to build it. Then you just comment that section of code out. It leaves it there, but the compiler will ignore it. And then later, when you get into functions and classes, it's useful to tell people where related content is. So, say you had all sorts of random stuff, but it wasn't really random, it was under a category. You could say, this is where the kittens are. I'll probably mention this later again in the classes video. So, finally, I mentioned this briefly at the beginning. But the return statement, you should always have your return statement. Sometimes compilers will let it slide without it, but you should always have it, because again, that's not all compilers, and it's just good style to do that, because that's how the language is supposed to work.